Let's focus on the conversation of the day. And as I mentioned today, we are actually focusing on the welfare of children. In this first hour, we're focusing on the World Breastfeeding Awareness Week, which runs from the 1st of August to the 7th of August. And this time is taken to ensure that there is more support drummed up in as far as supporting the women and mothers to actually exclusively breastfeed their children and to understand the importance of the same. And speaking of which, this morning would like to understand, even as we keep to the theme protect breastfeeding as shared responsibility, special focus on the workplace and what employers or these safe spaces are actually doing to enable the woman to breastfeed her children and continue the same up to 6 months and even beyond. And that question of the day to you is, does your workplace have a safe, clean and conducive breastfeeding and expressing station or room? Talk to us. That hashtag is new normal, and you can also reach us using the numbers at the bottom of your screen if you would like to actually ask a question or raise a concern that pertains your workplace. And to help us along with this conversation in studio, we have Caroline Moller, who is a public health nutritionist at the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Thank you for your time. Also joined in the other studio by Betty Samburu, who is a nutrition officer at UNICEF Kenya, and joining us actually is Lillian Musau, who is a Nandi County breastfeeding champion. Thank you all for joining us on this pertinent conversation. Caroline, I mean, this week is very, very pertinent, but why is it so important that every year we've got to highlight the importance of breastfeeding?
Thank you, Gladys. Now, every year we do commemorate the World Breastfeeding Week. This is trying to bring the attention of the world or the nation on what the benefits of breastfeeding to the baby, to the mother, and the nation as a whole. It's also an opportunity for us as a nation to look at our achievements. How far have we gone in terms of supporting our mothers to exclusively breastfeed their children? What is that we've put in place? What are these gaps we are having? What is it that we can do to ensure that our mothers are supported to successfully breastfeed their children?
All right. Now, some would say that breastfeeding is actually the first vaccination for our children. Talk about the importance of breast milk to the child.
Breast milk or breastfeeding itself has several benefits to the mother and to the baby. As you have said, the first breast milk, that is the colostrum, is very important because it has those antibodies that are going to protect this baby from infections, the diarrhea infections, the upper respiratory infections. And this is what we call that promotes child survival. This is what will help the child survive. This is the first immunization. The breast milk has all the nutrients this baby requires at that age. This is what promotes growth and development for this baby. This is what will help the child develop even the cognitive aspects, the brain development, because what is in breast milk is like the essential fatty acids. This is what helps the baby's brain to develop, and it's not found in any other milk. So breast milk is really special, and I can refer to it as white gold because this is something you'll not get elsewhere. It is easily digested. It helps the baby grow, develop well. It also as the mother breastfeeds, it's also beneficial to the mother. It helps the mother, it lowers the mother's risk of developing some infections, let's say like the ovarian cancer, breast cancer, because the longer a mother breastfeeds, she is able to be protected from getting these cancers. It helps the mother also not get another pregnancy because it delays the menstruation. It helps the mother regain her shape. So it is a natural way the mother regains herself. So it has also benefits to the family. If a child is exclusively breastfed, you find that this child will not get sick often. So whatever resources that would be used to treat the baby can be used for other development in the family. There's bonding in the family. And even the society is also able to benefit. If children are not getting sick in a community, children are able to develop cognitively well. When they go to school, they are able to perform well. So you find that this community, children are performing well. The incidences of infections, especially the diarrhea infections, upper respiratory infections, go down. It is eco-friendly. There's no wastage. You're not going to find teens littering all over. Yeah. So you see, it benefits across.
Okay.
Even the government itself. You find that our children who are admitted in the health facilities, the under fives, most of them are due to diarrheal infections, pneumonia. And by breastfeeding your child exclusively, we are able to prevent this. And our children who are admitted or even treated in the public facilities, normally it's free of charge, but the government is using money to purchase the drugs. So if we are able to reduce, if we are able to exclusively breastfeed our children, you find that the incidence of this goes down. There's less admission of the diarrhea, pneumonia cases, and you see it's also a saving to the government. These funds can be channeled to other projects or other activities. So breastfeeding benefits everybody across the sector.
Very well said.
Yes.
Now, this year, as we said, the theme is protecting breastfeeding, a shared responsibility. What is our priority here, Betty?
Thank you, Gladys, and all viewers. This year's World Breastfeeding Week theme is Protect Breastfeeding, a Shared Responsibility. It is indeed a very important and unique theme for this year, given that a mother, the first 1,000 days are very important. That is when a mother gets pregnant to the 2 years of birth. This period is when we are meant to do everything that is protective to the child so that they can grow and thrive well, as Caroline says. So every year, the World Alliance for Breastfeeding gives us a particular theme that is celebrated globally. And for this year was breastfeeding, protect breastfeeding, a shared responsibility. It means that breastfeeding is not an individual responsibility, is not a mother's responsibility alone. We need to bring all actors on board, because a mother may know the benefits of breastfeeding as highlighted by Caroline, but because there is that lack of support at the community level, at the political level, at the environmental level, then you will find that this mother, despite her knowing, despite her maybe being counseled in the hospital, or even knowing the benefit through whichever means, she will have gotten this information. So it means that we need to bring everybody on board. The role of the husband in supporting breastfeeding, the role of the healthcare system in supporting breastfeeding, the role of communities, including grandmothers and everybody, so that we can make it a success, because the role of influencers in becoming a barrier to breastfeeding is also noted. So everybody's responsibility to protect. We have the media, we have the manufacturers, everybody should come to protect breastfeeding because of that powerful importance of which breastfeeding or breast milk cannot be equaled to any other kind of milk in this global.
Okay, and speaking about influences, we have one amongst us, and this is Lillian Musau, who is a breastfeeding champion from Nandi County. You have a 2-month-old child. She is your first one, or rather it's your first child. How is that experience so far in as far as breastfeeding is concerned?
First, I would like to appreciate, to thank God giving me this opportunity being a mother. In the aspect of breastfeeding, appreciating each and every aspect of breastfeeding, seeing your baby health, seeing your baby growing well, simply because of your breast milk, seeing your baby even growing well, physically, emotionally, mentally, ability to recognize you, ability to see the milestones developing well, it's something that I appreciate a lot, especially when it comes to breastfeeding.
Okay, so as a mother, Caroline talked about the benefits for the mother too in the whole process. How is that going for you?
Actually, I'd like to agree with Caroline concerning the benefits of breast milk to the mother, to the community, and even to the child. Me as a person, I can say breast milk, for the baby, I can say breast milk has aided in terms of development physically, in terms of mental development and even emotional development. Me as a mother, it's said that breast milk will help you get back to shape, something that I agree 100% with Caroline. And I can say there's nothing else apart from breast milk that can get us to this point that we have, me and my child.
Okay, so at what point did you decide to become a breastfeeding champion, considering you are a first-time mother?
Actually, when I realized I was pregnant, I decided I'm going to give my child the best. And the best means I'm going to exclusively breastfeed her for 6 months and even continue until probably 2 years, if God helps me. The reason why I decided to exclusively breastfeed my child, it's because I've seen from mothers who have breastfeed their child exclusively, how their children have developed, and even how they've achieved their milestones very fast. And even in terms of cognitive development, it's something that I've witnessed to most of the mothers who have breastfed their children exclusively. So when I got pregnant, I decided I'm going to give my child the best, and I'm going to exclusively breastfeed for 6 months. And actually, right now I have stored a lot of milk in my freezer for the child, because after 3 months I'm getting back to work. So I have close to 12 liters of milk in my freezer.
Wow. That is impressive. 2 months and you have 12 plus liters. Well done.
Yeah.
And even as we talk about breastfeeding, I mean, Carol, there are many disruptors to exclusive breastfeeding. Right now, the pandemic is one of them. How has this disrupted breastfeeding?
Now, the pandemic and breastfeeding, would I really say there's been disruption? Because what I've realized now, most mothers are working from home. And working from home, it means they are with their children. They are able to breastfeed. They are able to express in a safer environment compared maybe those who didn't have a proper place to do the expression. So to me, I would not really say disruption. The only issue I've noted is that mothers were not sure whether they would infect their children with the corona, whether it can be spread through the milk. That was the issues that I really saw coming up with this corona pandemic. Now, the other issue was if a mother has corona, they were not sure whether to breastfeed or not. So that needed a lot of education, a lot of counseling, a lot of support to the mother. But for me, I've seen being at home, working from home, mothers have been able to breastfeed their babies because they have more time with their children at home, able to express. Despite the issue of working from home, some of them have been working more than working in the office. So it seems the employers are maximizing them being at home. So that could disrupt maybe the time they are with their children. Some are working up to very late in the night. Yeah.
Okay, and when you talk about those that were concerned about breastfeeding and passing on the virus to their children, what is the fact about this issue?
Now, from studies that have been done, there's no study that has really told us conclusively that the virus can be passed in the breast milk. So we've been telling mothers to continue breastfeeding. Should a mother be exposed, she has to observe the MOH protocols of having the mask, ensuring they wash their hands with soap regularly, ensuring that surfaces are properly cleaned. And should a mother not be able to breastfeed, that is where the expressing comes in. Yes.
Okay. Now, Betty, even as we talk about the impact of a pandemic, there are those mothers that have found themselves in a tight position where there is a lot of, they're dealing with poverty. They are also caught between a rock and a hard place trying to fend for their family. So they've been separated from their children to actually eke a living. Is this something that you're seeing in Kenya?
I can say that in Kenya, the Ministry of Health, working with other partners like us, UNICEF and many others, have really come out to support and ensure that even during this period of pandemic, the mother and the babies are not separated. A number of guidelines have been put in place, and this has been able to ensure that even amidst this, all the recommendations regarding supporting and protecting breastfeeding is adhered to. A lot of information is going out there, and I think this still stands. Although we have still mothers who are getting such challenges, those are the ones we need to put more efforts to continue supporting so that we don't have any single mother missing these benefits of breastfeeding.
Okay, so Lillian, you say you are fully equipped to actually return to work, which is in a month's time. How have you been able to express so much milk in such a short time?
Actually, when I gave birth, the second week, that's when I started expressing milk. And I usually make sure that every day I'm able to express milk, and at the same time, I'm able to have enough milk even for the baby. I usually make sure that I express 3 packets, that is 3 200 ml packets every day from the second week of after I gave birth. And that's how I've been able to get close to 12 liters up to now. And at the same time, when I'm expressing, I usually make sure that I have remaining enough milk for the baby. First of all, I make sure that I express it at night because the baby doesn't feed a lot at night. And at night, there's a lot of milk production because even medically, you can see there's high prolactin levels at night. From around 4 p.m. to around 4 a.m. So that's the time that I usually maximize on breastfeeding. And that's why I've been able to have enough milk even at this position, at this time. At the same time, secondly, I take a lot of fluids. I take a lot of vegetables, that is traditional leafy green vegetables, and they really help a lot in my milk production. And I attribute that to having enough milk, even up to this position.
And now that we're talking about the pandemic and it's here in a reality with us, were you ever afraid about breastfeeding with your young ones, seeing that you got pregnant and had them within a pandemic?
Yes, I've been able to adapt well, especially now that I'm breastfeeding. Especially, I usually take a lot of precaution, even when I'm out there in the public with the baby and I'm breastfeeding. I make sure that I maintain the right hygiene. I breastfeed in the right positions which are secure. Sorry for that. I breastfeed at the right position, the right places, yes, which are safe and clean. And at the same time, also with the support of my husband, especially during this COVID-19 period, I've been able to not get a lot of challenges while
Okay, and it's interesting that Caroline, she says she's been able to achieve a lot of these things because she's had support. Her husband has played a huge part in all of this, but she was also adequately prepared on how to ensure that she had adequate breast milk for her child. Talk about the importance of nutrition in this case and also the preparation to go back to work, because this is another disruptor to exclusive breastfeeding.
So one key thing is that we need to target our mothers during pregnancy. As you see, Lillian has said, she began preparing during pregnancy. So they should get the information from pregnancy on the importance of breastfeeding, and not only the knowledge, we need to empower them with the skill. So that after delivery, the mother will now, before delivery, the mother will make an informed choice of doing exclusive breastfeeding, just the way we heard from Lillian. Then once they deliver, we need to continue supporting these mothers, giving them the information. And not only the mother, we encourage the mother and the spouse. If you could have a session together, that would be very positive, because the spouse now knows the role they have to play in order to support this mother. And we know pregnant mothers, lactating mothers, need optimal nutrition from pregnancy all the way to lactation. This is a very critical period. And now we talk of dietary diversity. They need to eat different types of foods. Now we have the 10 food groups for women, which are recommended by WHO, and they should eat a minimum of 5 in a day. This will help them nourish their fetus, proper nourishment for the mother herself. It will be able to even to replace the lost nutrients during, after delivery. It will be able to provide that nutrients she needs as a lactating mother, and also support the breastfeeding for the child. So we need to encourage them and counsel both the mother and spouse if he is available. That way he's able to offer the support. Because for a mother to successfully breastfeed, it's not only the food. She needs to eat that diversified diet. She needs to breastfeed on demand. The more the mother breastfeeds, the more breast milk will be made. She needs support from the spouse. You know, a breastfeeding mother needs support from all family members, because one of the hormones that supports the milk flow, really it works with the mother's feelings. And if the spouse is not supporting the mother, it will affect the breast milk flow. So the spouse also plays a key role. And as you look at our theme, is a shared responsibility. Every actor needs to come on board for us to ensure breastfeeding is successful. Yes.
And still on that theme of the Breastfeeding Week, Protect Breastfeeding, a Shared Responsibility, workplace support for breastfeeding mothers is critical. Betty, why is this critical?
Thank you, Gladys. As said earlier, because of the benefits that the breastfeeding confers to the mother and the baby, it is very important that support for breastfeeding working mothers is really considered as critical, simply because when mothers return to work after the maternity leave, we find that there is that low production or reduced production of milk. As going back to what Lillian has said, the breast milk production is equivalent to the breast milk removal. It means the more you remove the breast milk from the breast, the more it is manufactured in the body. So the mothers who go to work, you find that when they go to work a whole day, they are not removing that milk. The production completely slows down. So this means that for us to enable the mother to breastfeed for the first 6 months and even continue breastfeeding, because even at 6 months to 2 years or beyond, this breast milk continues to be very, very important for the baby, because it still provides the nutrients required by the baby. So it is important that employers, and it starts from home as we had, maybe from a couple or from a family supporting this mother, to ensure that if she's planning to return to work, she stores enough milk. But at the workplace, we need to have policies that ought to adhere to the government legislations that provide for these employers to provide lactation rooms or breastfeeding rooms or rooms where the mother can express breast milk, so that that continuation of providing this very important milk to the baby does not stop. So if we provide these working mothers with spaces where they can express, it means we are still contributing to the health of this nation and to the health of this baby. And remember, in our Constitution, Article 53C, it is a right to basic nutrition for this child, because if we don't, we are violating this right to the basic nutrition of this child. We have also, this is the only way we can meet the food security in the first 6 months for this baby. And remember, our agenda in this country, even for His Excellency agenda, is to meet food security. So if we give breast milk at workplace, ensures all mothers are supported, we will ensure that this child gets the basic right and the food security that they need.
And speaking about, workplace support for breastfeeding mothers, we have a caller online. Her name is Grace. We're going to use that name. That's not her real name, but she has a concern because she has a young one and needs the right support to continue breastfeeding even at the workplace. Grace, what are your circumstances?
Hello, Gladys. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So while I was on maternity leave, I had to request for a mother room because while I was pregnant, I had seen a lady who was breastfeeding, and she could not express her milk, and she had to wear dark clothes because of the boob leaks, and also she'd be in pain most of the day. So I was pretty scared of that. So I made sure that I talked to my direct manager and request for a mother room. Now, the mother room was requested for, and I was provided for a disabled washroom. But then something made me really look into the Constitution and see what the government was saying about this. And I actually came to find out that it was a constitutional right for women to be provided with mother rooms, and also be given flexible, working hours. And with that ground, I had to write an official email to my bosses and to the HR team that they had to, provide a mother room. What was specified by the government, it has to be private. It should not be situated in the washrooms. It should have a sink. It should have sockets. It should have a refrigerator. All those things. However, I was promised a date. This was supposed to be in mid-July. However, that did not happen. And I had to write another email, and then I was pushed to 1st of August. Still, it has not happened. Now, this made me reach out to other mothers in my workplace and to mothers to be in my workplace and ask them if they really knew, if this was their constitutional right. And just like me, many actually didn't know. They actually thought this was a favor that the company was actually supposed to, do for them. However, I feel like women should, need to know this information, that it's actually their constitutional right. However, I remember my employer telling me that they are actually not mandated to provide for the mother rooms yet, as much as it's in the Constitution, and I think that confused me. So that's my predicament at the moment. I'm just trying to understand more on this mother rooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Grace, for reaching out and elaborating your circumstances. And clearly, this is something that most mothers are dealing with in their various places of work. Before I get Caroline to react on the same, let me understand from Lillian, a month to go before you go back to work, how is the setup in your workplace?
I can say from my workplace, they offer really good conducive environment for breastfeeding. Anytime, at any point, I'm able to breastfeed. Even when I'm traveling, I'm able to breastfeed in my car. And also I can express even from my car. At the same time, I can store in a cooler box. When I'm back to the house, I can put it in the fridge. Whichever position I'm working, I'm able to express or even breastfeed and, get it back to the freezer.
Okay, Lillian, are you saying that your workplace actually has a lactation room?
Yes, we do have a lactation room.
Okay, that is encouraging. And Caroline, I mean, you've just heard from Grace, our caller, saying she is so perturbed that many women do not understand that they have that constitutional right to actually get a lactation room. But even worse off, that there are employers who are saying they're not mandated to provide one. Talk about this and why it is critical for employers to understand the benefits of supporting breastfeeding mothers.
Thank you. Now, you realize from what has been shared, you find that I think Kenya, we've made progress, though we are not yet there. There are several government offices that have lactation stations, corporates, and some of the humanitarian organizations, though we are not yet there. Not all of them have. And I think what we need to do is to engage all sectors, let them know that this is a right for them. When you look at the Employers Act, the mothers are entitled to the 3 months maternity leave. The health bill, what is it saying? They should establish a lactation room if they are for their female employees. So it is there. And we need to have more sensitization, more engagement of this through the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. So we need to bring all actors on board so that they're able to understand this is a requirement they need to put in place.
Yes. Okay, and also when we talk about the components of support in the workplace, which are these and what should be considered?
Components of workplace, one is time. That when I talk of time, I'm looking at the aspect of the maternity leave. Mothers are entitled to 3 months maternity leave. And this is in the Employment Act, the 2007, 3 months paid maternity leave. We should ensure that when a mother returns back to work, we should support them during that transition. Most of them are reporting back to work after 3 months. The baby's still young. They need to continue with breastfeeding. So we need to come up, organizations need to come up with flexible time for these mothers. Maybe allowing her to come in slightly late and leave slightly early, giving her breaks in between so that she can go and express. Therefore, we need to have those lactation rooms. And so we need to create some space, create a room where the mother can express, and not in the toilet. It should be a clean place, running water, having sockets if she may need to use the breast pump, electric breast pump, with comfortable chair, some simple table. We need also to have policies within the organization. What are our policies in the organization? When a lady goes on gets pregnant, she needs to go on maternity leave. So she's guaranteed that 3 months leave. Let it be known within the organization. The other thing, we need to support this mother within the organization. How do we support her as colleagues? Maybe sharing some job responsibilities. Getting concerned, how is this mother faring on? How do we need to support her, this breastfeeding mother? Because if we don't support these breastfeeding mothers as an organization, it will still hit on us. This mother may start now giving other foods to that child. And this time, you find the child gets sick more often. So you need to give her off every time to go to attend to her child. That's a loss to the company. And now, you see, if you're having the cost of health insurance, they will go up because she's always at the facility, the baby is always sick. Issues of absenteeism. A mother may want to sneak out before time because you're not flexi. She wants to go and breastfeed or attend to her baby. So it hits back on the organization. The mother, if she's not secure that if I go on maternity leave, my job is not guaranteed because you've not come up with those policies in the organization. So she's not sure whether her job is still there after the maternity leave. There's no security. Others say ladies get pregnant often, so they prefer getting the gents because they are entitled to a paid 3 months maternity leave. The other aspect is having some education sessions within the organization for your for your employees. Let them know the benefits of breastfeeding. Let them know what it all entails so that they are able to make decisions once a lady gets pregnant. And you see, the Employment Act does not only guarantee 3 months maternity leave to the lady, but there's the 2 weeks paternity leave.
Yes.
And they are all entitled to this. And once we support our employed female, we support them, it is a benefit to the organization.
The ripple effects are actually immense. And Betty, there's somebody who's probably listening to us and thinking, okay, fine, you're talking about, you know, the structured corporate world. How about the woman who has to wake up and go and do her job at Marikiti or wherever else in the mashinani and still wants to exclusively breastfeed her children? How do we cater for them?
Thank you. We know that the government, as Caroline says, has Employment Act, which gives 3 months maternity leave. And actually, it further says that you can combine maternity leave with the annual leave such that the annual leave should not be forfeited. However, the concern even for mothers working in informal sector, and some other private sector is a challenge very, very much. What the government currently is working with other partners doing is to ensure that even these mothers who are working in informal sector are supported to breastfeed. One way that is being proposed even by WHO and even with the guidelines that I have seen the Ministry of Health has produced on workplace support is that we should set up lactation rooms within those markets. One example I can give, you have seen the Tharaka Nithi market where a very big crèche has been set. You have seen companies like Safaricom having very big crèches where they support, whether informal or. So my proposal, I know there is also a collaboration that is being undertaken in Nairobi County to set a breastfeeding room at Uhuru Market. So I know there is so much that the government is doing. We have not reached there. But what we need to do is to understand that women in informal sector are still having challenges. We see women working from places like informal settlement, let's say like Kibera, going to work in informal industries, and they leave their babies being taken care of by maybe just rooms. So what we are looking forward to is a full implementation of the Health Act, Article 71 and 72, which says all employers, it doesn't select whether it is the informal sector. We are also looking forward to work with other organizations like Federation of Kenya Employers. I know the Ministry of Health has set up a workplace support task force that is working together. We are part of it as UNICEF and many others where we are coming up now that we have guidelines and policies. How do we make them to benefit? We bring in other stakeholders. If you see like the guidelines, most of those other organizations like Federation of Kenya Employers, like the Central Organization of Trade Unions, all of them have committed to it on statements that we are going to work as a team to ensure that, including these informal sectors, they have really benefited. And just giving an example that in other sectors like where we have flower farms, some tea estates, we have seen this working very much, and it has really made it possible that mothers are really happy. Employers are happy because the bills of these hospitals have gone low. An example of a workplace I saw like in Koibatek, Baringo, called Karen Roses, where the children are supported there, and the employers become happy because they express milk there, they feed the babies. So it's not impossible for us to put lactation rooms in markets and many other places as the government and as the law demands.
And at this point, we take some of your feedback, even as we are asking you, does your place have a clean, conducive lactation room to enable breastfeeding and, of course, exclusive, or rather, what is it called, expressing your milk? Let's see some of our feedback. Lee Kosan says there's no such thing. In fact, if they know you're pregnant, they'll dismiss you at the 6th month of your pregnancy, something that actually Caroline alluded to. Wes says, no, the contractors are so strict to the employees, you can't rest. The resting time is when you break for lunch. That is so unfortunate. Then we have Anjiro Grace here, who says, Ulisikia wapi? Personally, they fired me nikiwa maternity leave. This is very concerning, but as we've said, making or taking the right steps in the right direction, but still we are moving at a very slow pace rather, and this is so vital for our mothers. But even as we bring this conversation to a close, I cannot go without mentioning that another interrupter is the breast milk substitutes that are in the market. And Lillian, even as you express your milk and soon go back to work, has anyone, or have you considered that perhaps you might take up substitutes in case you run out of the milk?
I haven't considered getting breast milk substitutes, and because since I gave birth, I've been having ample milk supply. I've been eating well-balanced diet, as Carolina stated. Have been taking a lot of fluids. My husband has supported me a lot, especially even latching the baby. It really helped me to latch the baby, and that's why I've been having continuous and enough milk supply. Even from the clinic visits that I usually go, have been trained on how to latch the baby, have been trained on how frequent I should nurse the baby, have been also trained on how frequent also I need to express and store milk so that by the time I get back to work, I'm able to have enough milk. So I haven't considered any breast milk substitute up to this point.
Okay, Betsy, why are breast milk substitutes a concern?
Breast milk substitute, number one, they displace the breast milk which we have in this country. Just before in this country, there is what we call International Code of Marketing Breast Milk Substitute, which still recommends that all governments should uphold protection, promotion, and support for breastfeeding. So when we give the breast milk substitute, because the Kenya government put up a legislation, the Breast Milk Substitute Regulation and Control Act in 2012, that still insists that all babies should be breastfed except for that baby which has no breast milk. So if we give the breast milk substitute to these babies, we are displacing the antibodies which the baby will have gotten from this breast milk. Remember, there is no milk that can be equaled to breast milk. The antibodies cannot be found in the formulas. So when we say we are supporting breastfeeding, because sometimes the companies really want to promote the sales, not to the advantage of the baby, but to take and misinform the mothers so that they fail to breastfeed. Even during this time of COVID pandemic, we have seen a lot of digital marketing in Facebook, in many media, and this makes a lot of mothers to think that breast milk substitute is better than the breast milk, yet it cannot be comparable. So we all need to uphold and know that it is a law in Kenya to avoid promoting this breast milk substitute, which was set in 2012. So all of us should really uphold breastfeeding as the best in the life of the child and in the years to come, because this breastfeeding will have an impact even in other chronic diseases like diabetes in the coming years. So we need to know that breast milk cannot be displaced by any other thing like the substitutes.
Okay, and finally, Caroline, there is a mother who's saying at times, I just don't have breast milk, or I went back to work and the stress levels made my milk disappear. What would you say, because they think that now the substitutes is a way to go, and how or what should they adopt perhaps to keep the milk flowing?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Now, you find that what really affects the milk flow is stress, anxiety. When the mother is sick, she's in pain, it will affect the milk flow. Yeah. Milk production will continue, but it's the milk flow that is affected. So we need to support this mother. What is that? Is it that is causing her stress? What is that is causing anxiety? And you find that most mothers begin now thinking of expressing when they have a few days to resuming work. You should start preparing psychologically before. And start ensuring that you start, if you have a storage facility, begin storing early enough. But you cannot say, let's say, for example, you're resuming work tomorrow, and now you start, thinking of expressing. That anxiety will definitely affect the milk flow. So we need to support this mother. Let her know that one time she needs to go back to work and begin preparing early. And try and address what is this that is causing the stress, so that she can continue breastfeeding her child. Yes.
Now, I saw you came even with a baby dummy just to show how the latching is done, because Caroline, or rather Lillian, said this has also helped in her milk flow. Perhaps you can demonstrate?
Thank you.
As we close.
Yeah, I'll show you. So for you to successfully breastfeed your baby, there are key points you need to put in mind. First, we have the 4 key points of positioning. Ensure that you support your baby's whole body, not only the head, as some mothers do. Support the whole body. This arm will go behind there. And when you support the whole body, make sure the baby is held close to you. This will ensure that the baby's body is in a straight line. The neck is not twisted, because this will make breastfeeding really uncomfortable for the baby. So once you hold the baby close to you, the baby is in a straight line, you find that the baby is able to approach your breast, nose to nipple. So those are the 4 key points of positioning. Now, for the baby to attach well to the breast, once the baby is approaching the breast, nose to nipple, as you touch the baby's lip with the breast, we expect the baby to open the mouth wide open. The lower lip should turn outward. And now when you place the baby, the breast in the mouth, you find that this dark part, the areola, most of it is inside the baby's mouth. And you find that the baby's chin touches the breast. So if the baby is held in this comfortable way, the baby is able to breastfeed successfully with no stress.
And there is a milk flow.
And there is milk flow.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I think this is so critical, even as we continue to support and educate our mothers in as far as breast milk is concerned, and breastfeeding also, and the importance of the same. And we really thank you for being part of this conversation. That is Caroline Moller, who is a public health nutritionist at the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, Betty Samburu, Nutrition Officer, UNICEF Kenya, and joining us virtually, Lillian Musau, who is a Nandi County breastfeeding champion. She only has a 2-month-old child, but has a lot of milk already stored in her freezer, 12+ liters. Well done. And we celebrate you, and we hope other mothers can see this is actually doable, and employers can also support them even as they return to work and continue pursuing that goal to exclusively breastfeed. Now, in the next hour, we still keep our focus on children, and this time ensuring we eliminate child labor in this country and beyond. Now, considering that Kenya was among the first African countries to ratify the Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1990, how are we doing in eliminating the vice that is child labor? We assess this right after this short break.